Welcome back to Detroit Piston Me Off. Today on the show, we dive into the Pistons and their struggles. They've lost 5 straight, and in the recent loss to the Golden State Warriors, they fall 120 to 109, a game that they had a lead in the fourth quarter, but too much Steph Curry down the stretch, and the Pistons fall. Should this game be looked at as a moral victory? At the end of the day, they were competitive. They were riding the ball game into the very closing minutes. Big threes, big shots by Steph Curry. There's about 4 players in tonight's game, maybe 5 I'd like to highlight, who had very strong ball games. We'll get into that right away. Let's first start off with everyone's favorite topic, Killian Hayes is actually seeing a bit of a turnaround in the last 3 ball games, as he was 4 for 8 in one game, 4 for 8 in the next, and then this one he was 8 for 12 from the field, 3 for 4 from behind the arc, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, did not have a single turnover, and that's the big thing I'm really liking about Killian Hayes. His assist-to-turnover ratio has been very solid recently. Like I said, if his shooting comes on, that's a huge bonus. It's got to be serviceable. Throughout his career, it's been downright terrible. Hopefully, this is just not one of those flashes. Hopefully, he can have some sustainability with his shooting, because if he continues to play at this rate, it's going to be hard to take him off the floor, even when Monty Morris and Jaden Ivey and Bojan Bogdanovic and Isaiah Livers and Jalen Duren and the whole team returns. They had 7 players out for this ball game. That's why I say it's a bit of a moral victory. I mean, heck, James Wiseman played in this game, Jared Rhoden, and one of the stars of the game was Stanley Amudi. In 15 minutes of play, he knocked down 5 of 8 shots, 4 for 5 from behind the arc, finished with 15 points and 3 rebounds. Stanley showed us in the preseason his potential, and in tonight's game, he was one of those guys that kept the Pistons in it. Pistons showed up in the third quarter, very fine third quarter, couldn't sustain it in the fourth quarter, but a very nice job by Stanley Amudi. Just a two-way player. Is he a guy that could get that final roster spot? Or should the Pistons bring in someone, maybe a defensive big, to come off the bench and replace James Wiseman when Jalen Duren is out? Next player I want to highlight with a very solid game was Isaiah Stewart. He knocked down his first 3 threes in the first quarter. He was 5 of 9 overall, 3 for 5 from behind the arc, 4 of 4 from the foul line. He boarded well with 11, had 4 assists, did have 3 turnovers. He's trying to develop himself a little bit more of a playmaker. He's going to have a few of those turnovers. So I guess we'll give him a pass. I don't know. The Pistons finished with just 14 turnovers tonight. I say just because they lead the league in turnovers, around 18 to 19 per contest. Next player I want to highlight is Ausar Thompson. The rookie continues to improve his game on the offensive end. Ausar Thompson, 6 for 10 from the field. Shot 1 of 4 from behind the arc, 3 for 3 from the free throw line, had 4 offensive rebounds, 7 total, 2 assists, 4 steals with just 1 turnover. One of the few Pistons who finished with a positive plus-minus ratio at +3. Ausar Thompson continues to improve, scoring the basketball inside. His shooting, still a work in progress, but he's putting up the shots. He's showing the confidence. He's not being hesitant with his shots. He's fitting in very well with this 0.5 offense that Monty Williams is trying to implement here. Now we'll get into some of the players who I feel didn't play quite as well in this ball game. First of all, Marcus Sasser. After coming off of several hot games, he struggled from the field in this one, 3 for 10, overall 1 for 5 from behind the arc. Did have 4 assists and 5 personal fouls. But Sasser's going to have some off games. Like we said, his shooting would not be sustainable. He's been that hot recently. Things leveled off a bit in this one. Overall played a solid game. The shot just wasn't falling for him tonight. So James Wiseman got 11 minutes in this ball game, was 0 for 3, 3 rebounds, didn't have a block, didn't have a steal, didn't have an assist. Pretty much a goose egg on all of these statistical categories except for the 3 rebounds. Rough night for him. Is James Wiseman even playable at this point? The Pistons were quite annihilated on the boards in this one. After the rebounds being such a positive in the first 3 games, it has fallen off a cliff, and the Pistons now are getting out-rebounded on the regular, especially on the offensive glass, as tonight the Golden State Warriors had 17 of their 44 rebounds on the offensive end, giving them lots of second-chance points. That's what killed the night, was the offensive glass. Not having Jalen Duren out there was a big part of that. Next player that struggled tonight, and in one key specific area, was Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley getting the start at center, got 24 minutes, and was only able to find 2 rebounds in this ballgame. Wasn't terrible on the offensive end, 4 for 8 for 10 points, but his inability to grab the rebounds really hurt the Pistons. Isaiah Stewart was forced to play 38 minutes in this one. He struggled through much of this game was Cade Cunningham, who had 39 minutes. He's getting a lot of minutes these days. And he struggled from the field, just shooting 7 of 18. That's 38%, and just 1 of 6 from three-point range. One caveat to that, he was able to get to the line 7 times, hitting 6 of those, to finish with 21 points, had 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. But once again, the turnovers has been a big factor and a big detriment to his game in the Pistons, as he had 5 again in this one. He really needs to get down his turnovers to about 3 per game. Lately, he's been getting 5, 6, and even 7 turnovers in these ball games. It has negatively affected the Pistons in a great way. The Pistons are now, 2-6. They've lost 5 straight. What's next for them? Well, we got the Milwaukee Bucks coming up on Wednesday, and then the Sixers, which will be the first game of the play-in tournament. That game will be on Friday. At the end of the day, the Pistons are 2-6. They lost 5, but they have been competitive in most of their ball games. And so if there are moral victories with all the injuries that have affected the Pistons, I'm not going to be too harsh right now on the players and the coaches of the Pistons at this point. The season is not lost, although they're getting to that point now where they need to start picking up a few wins, and it's going to be difficult to do that with the upcoming schedule in the next 2 games. After that, it gets slightly easier. We'll play Chicago Bulls again. We'll play the Atlanta Hawks. The Pistons really need to pick up a couple W's. The Pistons can win 2 of these next 4 games. The slide has been rough. All right, Piston fans, do me a solid, smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to be reminded when my videos are uploaded. And I'll see you next time on Detroit Piston Me Off.